Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Irina. I'm the member of Chief UK, Joint Chief this February, so quite recently. And I'm part of the Career Transition Group set by Michelle Ferguson. She couldn't be here today, but she's sending hi and greetings to the community and to the group. Quite surprised by the number of the responses to this meetup, which I guess shows an interest and a need to approach the transition in a more conscious way. And as the event description showed, right now, because of the market conditions, loads of people are in transition, and all the layoffs that are happening in the US and across Europe, they put us in this difficult situation, and many people are in voluntary transitions, but even more are in the involuntary ones. And transition can be difficult, especially on the leadership level when we have a particular status and we have a particular salary level, and we have this title. And when we are looking for the next role, we need to hit all these points and all these tick boxes. And I'm in transition for 2 months. And when I just found out that my role was made redundant, I was thinking, okay, what kind of role do I want? What kind of salary? What kind of team size? So I started to approach transition in a very functional way, almost transactional way. How can I make sure that in the shortest way possible, I can find the same level of responsibilities and the same salary? And then I realized that, well, beyond the functional or beyond the transactional bit, there is a bit about myself, what's authentic to me, what is important for me in this transition, something that perhaps makes me unique and that makes me different from all the other people out there. And I'm now trying to formulate it still, and that's why I'm also excited for this workshop, and that's why I invited Lydia, my long-term friend, whom I know since her career in business and in international companies across Europe. And I was very happy to find out that she's now doing diversity and inclusion programs and also women empowerment programs. And I just thought that for Chief community, it will be a good opportunity to create this space and look into yourself, into your true self, to give yourself this 90 minutes to reflect and find out what is it that you truly want from your next transition, whether it is internal, external, international, local, etc. So to start with the intro, before I pass the mic, if we can just introduce ourselves in the chat, if you can put your name, where are you based, and what is the one most important thing for you in your next transition? What is it that you wouldn't want to miss? Maybe something that you do not have in your current role. Maybe it's something where you want to evolve. What is the most important thing for you in your current transition, in your next role?
And also at a later stage towards different types of Web3 applications, because it will lay the foundation.
Muting. Good. And while you're typing, I will pass the mic to Lydia.
Thanks, Irina. And an excellent question. I'm just watching out also for some of the responses here. And as you are typing in, what is it that's important to you? I really want to once again encourage you, if you can, please join us with camera on, and hopefully we're going to have some good time reflecting together today, but also sharing quite a bit. And I first of all wanna thank you for making this time for yourself, for spending this 90 minutes together. And I want to say that today is also very special for me, because what we are going to do today, the This Is Me workshop, is something that has been really my own career transition formula of stepping into who I am. And ever since I have pulled together the different components of defining the This Is Me formula for myself, I can say that I've been able to step into some really deeply rooted power of driving my own career, if I can say so, forward. And today's very special to me in that sense, because what I'm going to be sharing in this workshop has been primarily the core of the corporate leadership programs for women I'm running. And about a year ago, I've started to pilot some of this also to, the wider community of women that I could reach. And I realized that I want to take up a mission to help 1 million women to step into their This Is Me state. And I hope that today is going to be really kind of a mindset shift, change for you in terms of how you approach the transition that you're in. And I hope it's going to be very, very practical for you today. So when I'm going to share of what you can expect from today's session, it is really a radical shift towards you, your career, really put your way, and the impact. And when I say impact, I mean a business impact that you want to drive, but also it may go beyond. It may relate to kind of a higher purpose that you are after for in life. And kind of a disclaimer I like to put here, if you're not ready for kind of a big shift, it's not too late to leave yet. If you like everything as it is. And then what is going to really be said here, and what is, I hope is going to land with you in a way that you're going to feel much more self-worth, much more cohesion and alignment in terms of who you are and what you want to do with your career and life. And this may have some side effects also beyond your career, so also maybe at home. So let's see, what are we going to do today? I just want to check in. Can you see my screen well? Are the slides passing well? Okay, cool. So there are going to be several things that we're going to cover today. First of all, there's going to be quite a lot about the power of identity. Yeah. And when I say identity, we're going to dive into that and look into how is it that you define yourself? So not only the things that are, that you're born with, that you're given, but also the way you put up your own storyline of your life, of your career, and how that comes together to give you the power that it has. The second thing we're going to cover today is something special about women leadership and the way women are formulating their identity and oftentimes holding themselves back. And we're just going to see what's that formula, how does this equation come together so that women can tap into this special power, and I hope you can do it today. And we are also going to cover 5 key steps that I have identified, and I widely share them in my programs as the ones that are really kind of the pinpoints of putting this alignment together of who am I, what is it that I'm going to deliver. I really want to prepare you for a session that is kind of a deep reflection, so I encourage you to take notes. I also encourage you to share. There are going to be moments when I ask you if you want to share out loud, but also share in the chat. I encourage you to note some questions. I hope we're going to have enough time for a Q&A. If not, we're going to find a way of how I can respond to the questions you may have. And whenever I deliver anything, I try to activate women listening to this. So prepare for This Is Me activation in the end. So that's the plan for today. And yeah, let's see. All of what I'm going to say is based on a true story. First of all, a story of myself. Then about 100 women who have been undergoing my corporate leadership programs, mainly with large corporations, but also with some tech scale-ups. And also about 15 women who have undergone already by now 3 cohorts of my open leadership program. So over the last year, as I said, I started to run those openly. And I'm going to share with you also some details if you want to join one of those. And yeah, so if this is based on my story, who am I? Who is Lidia Tinkovskaya? So I am women's career empowerment coach. I help women in the corporate really step up into this alignment team and step up to executive roles, normally leadership roles, C-suite roles. And the way I'm doing it is by using exactly this alignment model. It's called Authentic Women's Leadership Framework. We're going to talk about it today. I am also working with a number of consumer goods, retail, and IT companies on their diversity and inclusion strategy and on their women's leadership programs. I'm working with the UN and some non-for-profits. It's worthwhile mentioning that I'm also a wife, so I have to balance some family priorities and being a mom of a 5-year-old male ally who has let the mom do a webinar in the evening. I'm a practicing Buddhist, so that has a lot to do with the concepts that I teach. And I'm a global citizen, I think I can say. You can normally catch me physically between Tallinn, St. Petersburg, or Amsterdam. But I love being connected to, well, this outstanding community of the Women in Chief, which is covering, I think, almost half of the globe, to what I can see. And as I said, I'm on a mission to empower 1 million women to step into this authentic leadership idea, because I really think if we have more women at the top of the world and the businesses, it's going to be a bit of a better place. Now, what I want to check with you. So you've said now in the chat, what are the things that you're looking for in your transition? And I also want to ask you, what kind of transition specifically are you after right now? So is it a transition within the same function within your current organization? Then put a 1 in the chat, please. If it's trying out a new function inside the same organization, put number 2. And if it's something else, so you're completely going after something new, new organization, new country, put a 3. So I have a bit of a feel of how we are in the room today. Okay, I only see 3s. So you are completely changing it. Let me have a moment to see if any other answers come up. All of us in the number 3. Okay, great. So then that's how we're going to do it today. We're going to look for the way you can completely redefine yourself. If you're stepping up to something completely new, it's even a greater opportunity because you have a blank piece of paper in front of you. You can define and redefine yourself the way you want. Nothing is then limiting it. A couple of 1, 2. So there is also a possibility to use this model, absolutely, but I see the majority of 3. So please use this to the maximum. Why am I talking about this? And first, I'm just going to kind of tell you what my career story was, how things were evolving for me. So I started my career from kind of larger, let's say, consumer goods companies, national HR and procurement roles. Then I was moving across Europe and taking European and global roles also. But highly speaking, kind of if I cut my career in several stages by now, I could say that there were 3 big blocks. At the first stage, I was really after success. Yeah, so I was trying to hit the corporate titles. I was trying to kind of, get promoted as fast as I can. I was going after all sort of fast track acceleration programs within these companies. And that felt good enough. I could tick my boxes, and I'm sure that every one of you sitting here has done the same thing. So you're at a stage, when you're in chief also. When I realized, okay, I'm getting it, I'm getting the titles, the benefits, that's all good, I started to notice, and actually that's where I started meditating a bit, and I had a bit more conscious idea of what's the chatter happening in my head. I started to realize, okay, I've got all of it, but it's not really fulfilling, you know, so I have to change something. So I started talking to a bunch of VPs on, okay, I want to do something more impactful. And I couldn't quite articulate what that is. So that notion of impactfulness clearly led me to a sustainability role. I couldn't define what it is. So, you know, the VPs and the universe gave me that first thing that tags with impact. So I was leading a global sustainability agenda for Danone worldwide, which was a great role. Can't complain. You know, you have, you know, big budgets, big influence, a purposeful role, all sort of things with it. But then when I was on my maternity leave and it was time to come back, I was offered to revisit, you know, my career agenda, and I was offered a promotion for enlarging my scope. And I was really hitting a resistance wall. I could see that I just don't want to go for it. And that's when I had to go to a career coach, and she told me, okay, we have to really reassemble you, see what is it that's important for you. And that's where my search for myself started. I started to ask myself, who are you? What is it that's important? What is the "this is me" answer for you, Lydia? And that's where the whole story behind women having a special role in the business, in the larger agenda. I started to kind of bump across articles and, you know, kind of all the statistics around how women hold themselves back. And I like this. I had this idea that I want to explore this and I want to make a transition. And you could perhaps notice that I was making quite a few functional turns by then. I realized I want to explore this. So the best thing that I came up with is to come up to VP HR in my organization back then, Danone, and tell her, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to work on women's leadership. Let's do it. The response was, that's too bad. We don't really need that. And that was kind of a slap, I must say, because I was seeing all sort of, you know, articles coming up that this is an important topic, we should do it. There's a business case for it, but the answer was no. So what I did is I started to explore the topic on my own. I started to engage myself into the women's leadership agenda of all sorts, get into the education myself, get trainings, start offering myself, you know, for joining this project to any organization that would take me up for that. And little by little, I started to formulate what is it? What's the value that I can bring to this type of agenda? How my previous experience blends together and what is it that I'm able to deliver? And that is where things started to fall together. I'm going to mention today also how I was doing this transition and what was happening so that you can use these techniques as well. But really, it was about finding what is it that's important to you and putting your power of identity and alignment and the business vision you have up for it. So the first thing I want to talk with you today about is the power of identity. And when I say identity, I want to give you this first definition that I really like, that the identity is the core of one's self-definition, so the way you formulate yourself, in serving to meet their needs. So what is it that you need? Your bread on the table, your salary, and other things that you need, and achieve significant higher goals. If I re-articulate this, it is really about aligning who you are, what are the outstanding things you are amazing at and where your power is, and what is the impact that you are able to bring. I can tell you that by aligning this into one straight line, I could also now deliver transformational leadership programs to the CEOs of 50 plus consumer goods and retail companies across Europe and the US. And now by being able to pinpoint my vision with the passion and with the business case, I can tell you now that what VPHR told me back then, that this is not what they need, is not the case. And in a week time, we're going to be talking about these programs with 50 plus CEOs. So apparently they do, including the company that told me that they don't. So That's one. Yeah, we're going to explore today, but I just want to kind of you to stick with this idea of defining your identity and putting this into one straight line. The second thing is something special about women in this equation: women, leadership, and identity. You probably have come across the statistics, and they are evolving, fortunately, but I was really swept away when I first saw this. And some of this comes from, the very first times I just got acquainted with a women's leadership agenda. So I was blown away, and that was before 2020, when I looked at, I think it's some of the FTSE companies here, and all the CEOs named John, overweighing all the women CEOs, whatever the name is. So that was a bit before. This year, we are progressing now, Fortune 500 list, and there are finally 10+% of women CEOs in the 60 years of Fortune 500 existence. 10%, so we have something to celebrate. The next thing, and this is where I want to check in with you, and I wanted to ask you how you compare to that. That was something that resonated with me personally a lot. So the Catalyst has been looking at how much time women spend on average on all sort of care, household work. And the average is 4 hours, 22 minutes a day. I want to ask you, what do you think is the number for an average man? So an average woman spends almost half of a working day on all sort of things she's not getting paid, and quite often not getting the recognition for 35 minutes. Okay, 1 hour, less than 1 hour, 40 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay, 45. 2 hours. Nizia says that sounds about right, more for single parents. Yeah, of course, that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Single parents have a much bigger workload there. So I did this experiment for myself. I was close to the number, about 4 hours. So I had something to discuss with my partner. An average for, it's kind of a global temperature, of course, very, very average, almost twice less. Yeah. So just out of curiosity, you may want to see how it is going for you. So even if we don't talk the greater roles, look at the amount of time you are covering, and therefore, you're taking away from all the things that could help you make the transition that you want in your career. So maybe you have something to discuss at home as well. And so looking at this number, so 10% of women becoming CEOs finally, women spending so much time on all sorts of things that they are not getting paid for. And at the same time, we all know that more women at the top are just good for business, the case is there. I was stunned by these numbers, and they come far, kind of long ago, from 2004. The Catalyst has been looking at women on boards, and I love how they formulated that. Women on boards bring at least 53% return on equity. Yeah, so that's better than men. Plus 42 at least return on sales, and plus 66 return on invested capital, at least. And on the other hand, McKinsey reports are much more referred to, and they keep on doing this Women in the Workplace report, which I love as well. And simply said, they all say that more women bring more innovation, more sustainability orientation, and better workplace cultures. So the question is, why? Why do we see this picture that women are, on the one hand, so good for business, such good long forward thinking partners, better people empowerers, better climate in the company? The business case is absolutely there with all the at least percentages, but still we see that women are so underrepresented and have a higher workload at home even. Anyone willing to share out loud just a couple of opinions?
Lydia, I think the other one is women are seen as a higher risk. So when they talk about putting women in roles, they say, oh, it's a higher risk to put her in that role, but usually we're better educated. So it's like a perception.
Interesting, Cynthia. This is this is a very interesting input. I've never heard this opinion. So thank you for putting it out loud there. A risk, interesting. I think I can relate to that. So out of all the CEO discussions I'm observing, I think that can be part of the reason. Yes. Any other opinions out there? Come on, you'll have to be more pronounced to get your career transition up and running.
I think we all put them in the chat, but I actually wanted to follow up on the risk comment. I'm not sure of the entire context, but I do think that it's been very risky for women who did make it to the C-suite to try to bring other women with them, whether that's into the VP level or as peers into the C-suite. I don't think women feel secure enough in their positions to bring to bring other women, and that they almost feel like they would get labeled, oh, she's only going to bring the women, that kind of thing. So that's what risk means to me.
Deborah, thank you. That is a very interesting comment. I can relate also back to, I think it's McKinsey's study also on the fact that it starts to be much easier when there is 1/3 of women in the board already. From that number on, it starts to roll. Getting to 1/3 is the challenge. Thank you.
So one thing I wanted to add too is that, being a woman and then a woman of color, I find that not having the advocate, not having a person, like once you get to a certain place, like you're the only one and no one sees you like them. So it blocks your ability to have someone that'll reach down and give you a hand up.
Absolutely. And I think, thank you for sharing this so openly. I think having the sponsors that will promote you there can be really fundamental to this. I'm also looking in the chat, and I see some quite interesting comments there. Fear as well, overcoming inertia for change. The system needs to be redone. Male champions, absolutely. Yes. So I agree to what you have been saying, and I really love also the fear component here. But I want to bring you a bit of an interesting and a very personal perspective. So prepare is going to be personal from here onwards. So here is a piece of statistics. Well, I can't even call it statistic, but it's a study. So I was just looking at Deborah at the moment when she said, wow, yes, that was exactly my reaction. So by the age of 6, a girl starts to consider herself less brilliant, less really smart. And well, as you can imagine, this whole trajectory of being less meant to be a leader, therefore, goes on. When I think, honestly, when I saw this exact piece of design, I was really kind of having that mental slap, and I felt, okay, now I really have to kind of step into this. And to me, this specific study was also kind of the pinnacle of looking back into myself and my own career. And I could really see how, despite me getting to some nice roles and getting some nice titles, I was absolutely one of these girls that from 6 years old onwards was not feeling fully in her leadership presence, was not feeling that I am meant for this leadership, was like from the moment that I started to make my career, I was looking outside for role models I have to copy to really get to the success levels and check the boxes and be like them. And hence, I could absolutely see with this piece of the puzzle how I disconnected from my own authentic identity that I was progressing in my career from a place of disconnection, from a place of copying, from a place of I have to be like them to succeed. And ultimately, that led to that frustration moment when I didn't want to come back from my maternity leave and I couldn't see it clearly anymore for myself. And I had to step back to that blank page and redefine, who am I? What do I have to reconstruct that was missing from that 6 years of age for myself, and build that complete picture? And as a mom of a boy, I can also, I'm by all means trying to balance this, but I can see how also the society contributes to this still, making boys more pronounced, more, hey, just go out there, just go do it, whatever, you can fail, you have all the right in the world to just go do it and lead. And I feel if we really want to kind of see this change, absolutely the system has to be redone. And I am really proud of seeing some of the CEOs putting outstanding efforts in rebuilding the whole system. But it's also a lot about how we rebuild it from within. And the main thing that we're going to focus on today is actually rebuilding this exact thing. How has it been for you? And what do we have to rebuild that was maybe missing from your 6 years of age? So the question that really kind of, appeared in my head next after seeing this, 6 years old, wow, do we still think of ourselves as those secondary people? Do we still hold ourselves back? And how do we step back into that power that we've always actually had, but somehow forgot or were taught not to manifest anymore? And what I think is a very right thing to do is start all sort of women's leadership activations from rebuilding that exact thing. And I'm really happy to say that quite a few companies are doing that. They are putting the block about aligned identity, the power of stepping into the true self, into the starter of these programs. And this is also what I'm doing in my program. And I'm seeing how women who are able to exactly rebuild this very personal story from the start, they step from how one of the alumni said, she came into the program to get to a HR leadership role. And she told me first, I just want to hit the bullshit bingo. I would just want to find those right words that I have to say on the interview to get the role. And after completing this authentic program on her leadership activation, she was like, okay, I clearly see my mission. I'm now able to boldly state it at all the interviews to all the business stakeholders, and now she's got it. So what we will be doing right now, and please prepare for that mentally, is we're going to go through 5 steps of stepping into your power of your identity. And the very first question I'm going to ask you, relating back to this 6 years old, I will ask you to think about the key traits that define you, the pronounced version of you, the this is me version of you. And there are 2 ways to look at it. One, maybe you know yourself that good, I didn't at the time, that you can quickly say, these are the 3 things that, if I tell to anyone who knows me well enough, without knowing my name, without knowing my title, they will say, okay, this is her. So think about those. What are those 3 power traits that really are very true you? The other way that I was using when I was trying to define what is it that makes me me was looking back at your life and looking back at the experiences that have deeply shaped and informed the person you are today. I will share with you something that's very personal to me. The girl you see in the middle of this picture is a 10-year-old me. I'm Russian. When I was 10, Russia was a post-Soviet, super poor country where my parents didn't have enough money to feed 2 kids. My father is a submarine captain. And obviously, when the Soviet Union fell apart, he had no job. He couldn't feed his 2 kids. He had to serve as a guard on a paid parking lot. And throughout the nights, he just had a lot of time sitting out there watching the cars. to get some money. And he used this time to study English by books. So at the age of 40, he has learned English like that, just out of nothing to do. And then an opportunity came across. There was an opportunity, because back then there was an OK collaboration between Russia and the US. There was an opportunity to apply for sort of an MBA grant for naval officers. And that was kind of a global program. So he applied for it and he got it. And so did 40 other naval officers from 40 other countries. So at the age of 10, I could come to the US. My dad was doing his MBA. I was studying in a public school in Rhode Island. And I was together with the whole world. Kids from 40 other countries, a melting pot of cultures, like the world is united, something that I would really love to see today. And obviously, this experience has really deeply shaped me. It shaped me in 3 ways. And, if I ask myself, what are the traits that this experience gave, is absolutely give me the anything is possible mindset. The change was so drastic that from no food at home to, kind of all the countries, all the, the world connected in the US. It also gave me the trait of being, passing that empowerment, being the empowering person in the room always. And it also gave me the trait of daring action, so just dare. And I can say that whenever I was doing 360 degrees or asking, even my close friends network, kind of, can you give me feedback? Okay, how am I? These were the words that were coming up super often. So when I looked at the picture of how I define myself, when was this formed? And I compare it to how people see me when I'm in my best power, this is it. So absolutely, this was one of the experiences, only one, but very deep one, that has deeply informed who I am today. And what I want to propose to you now is to look back at your life, your experiences, and find that maybe one key event in your life that has really shaped or really showed, kind of the key traits that are within you as a personality, as a true authentic identity, and how you define yourself. I want to give you a moment to just kind of scan, but don't go into deep thinking. There must be something that you know about, the important things that happened to you in your life that really showed you your power, like kind of a flashing light out there. And I just want to look back into how many people we have here. And I want to really encourage anyone who is able to at least have the mic on, because we want to invite you to breakout rooms. And we want to offer you to share either the few traits, or if you feel comfortable enough, maybe that small story of what has that been, what has been that event, how has it shaped you. And I promise you, until the end of this workshop, you will see how powerfully this experience will help you make your career transition something really deeply connected, and you'll have much more success applying for these jobs when you do this exercise, and I tell you what you do next with it. So if you're ready, I'm going to prepare a number of breakout rooms. I encourage you to share what's out there, and let's see how you come out of this. So we are going to make, let's see, I'm going to invite you to rooms of Ira. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just creating the rooms.
You're creating the rooms. Thank you. So we're going to invite you to rooms of 3. It's going to be at 10 minutes. Let's make it 10 minutes discussion. So please share for about 3 minutes what's your story, what your traits are. If you're in a breakout room and you have no one to talk to, please come back. So we're going to see what we do with you. But I really encourage you to use this time to reflect back on what is it that showed you where your power is, from where is it growing.
You should now see the rooms on the screen.
Thank you for the opportunity to dive and listen into some of your beautiful discussions. I really enjoyed seeing what's happening in the breakout rooms. So I really want to say that depending on how deep you manage to go in this reflection for yourself and maybe lighten up from some of the realization that the other women have been sharing, I strongly encourage you to really go deep for yourself into this exercise. And I've been saying that I'll find a way, let's see how we do that. I'll find a way to pass on to you also kind of the descriptor of all the exercises we're going to do today. But this specific one is the fundamental. I really encourage you to kind of scan through what has been really important for you in life. What has it really brought up within you? How has it influenced? And where do your powers sit? What are those powerful defining stories that you hold on to? Now, why is this important? I told you that for me, it really helped to kind of pinpoint my key. I can't call it strengths, but really traits or defining features. And when it was a moment for me to kind of redefine what my next career step is, by looking at those and sourcing the power, the mental power, if you want, from those, I could really see that I should not accept that next promotion for, you know, a larger sustainability role, but I should really follow what I want to do. And what happened is that looking at those experiences and getting the power from them really helped me to connect the dots for me. I realized that if I managed to kind of make all sort of turns in my career, I could switch from HR to procurement. Then I could run like all sort of procurement projects, being, you know, kind of first treated as a young 160 centimeters tall, like really short girl talking to a bunch of white 60 plus men who were really kind of, you know, giving me all sort of looks that, you know, I'm too young to be in that room. Then, you know, if I was able to kind of change that, then I can really kind of solve a bit of the equation for women as well. And when I told you that that HR person told me, sorry, this is not what our company is going to do, then what I did is find really the power network, a powerful network of people who are behind the mission that I am passionate about. And as I said, next week, I'm going to talk about a cross-company leadership program to 50 plus CEOs who do want to listen about this, who see the business case and who see the passion that I bring into this business project. Now, from kind of a no-go and trying to fit in, I could really use what's important to me, you know, what's important in my life story to bring that energy to the business that I want to do. And I'm really proud to say that apart from running a cross-company women's leadership program for, as I said, 50 plus retail and consumer goods companies starting next autumn. So we're just launching it with the CEOs next week on the CEO Roundtable. We're also talking about how they are going to change their leadership behaviors from, quite frankly, ego-driven to becoming better leaders and changing their organizations from within. So you have this CEOs listening to this very report that we were sharing on what's wrong with the culture behind their companies. So I really encourage you to look into where your energy sits and how you can use it for your career transition. Now, the second thing, and I'm just going to kind of fleshlight the other things that are important, and then I'm going to kind of really deliver to you kind of a 5-step guide on this. Once you have defined your true powers, your definitors, you know, kind of what are your key traits, what makes you you, then the other thing that I want to kind of draw your attention to is how do you look at all of your progress operationally? Are you focusing on what I call the green pan, how you mark your, you know, kind of assignments in school? Are you looking at all the things that you're able to deliver? Or are you focusing more on the things that have not worked so well? Are you serving yourself, you know, kind of in the best way of looking at what has worked, what you have delivered, or are you self-criticizing like very many women that I work with and that I see that are looking to come back to this 6-year-old versions of themselves and say what went wrong. So little tip here to see how are you observing everything that you're doing and how are you presenting this? Are you putting your achievements forward? Are you talking about what has worked? And worst case, if it didn't work, what have you learned from it? Or are you promoting everything that has not worked well? I encourage you to take the green pen and mark the things that have worked and put them forward. The other thing that I see part of this step is that very many women, even if they start to look at what worked and put out for their achievements, very many of them don't talk about, kind of the great project or transformation they're envisioning for their company, because they are looking for the perfection. And I've seen this comment in the chat, now I've lost it, but it's about making it perfect. Now, one of my key sponsors, key promoters back in my corporate days has once told me this mantra that I keep holding on to: better done than perfect. And now I want to encourage you to kind of go through all the projects that you are now managing in your portfolio, all the activities that you're doing. Are you kind of putting them forward, even if they are not complete yet? If your energy sits there, if this is a project that's important to you, make sure you deliver the best vision of what is, how you see it, to a person who will listen to you. Maybe that's your sponsor, your VP, but someone who will see the energy that you want to put in it. And even if it's not perfect, and the first times I was pitching this cross-company leadership programs for women, they were far from being perfect, but with the energy that I was able to put into it, apparently the CEOs would listen. So better done than perfect, and focusing on what works. The third step that I offer to you is actually very important, and it may require some personal change even. When you're stepping into this transition journey, it's super critically important to look at how much power are you sourcing from your closest network. So you perhaps have come across this number, but the 6 people you interact with the most are the ones strongly influencing your mindset and what you think is possible. Actually, anything is possible. And I've seen and done a lot of transitions myself, and encouraged very many women to step up or change the functions or change roles or change toxic cultures they were part of. It is possible if you think it's possible. And I really want to kind of invite you to look at your closest network, your power network, and critically assess it. Are these people supporting your aligned progression? Are they lifting you up? Or should you somehow change your network to bring more of supporters, more of the uplifting people into it? Because I can say that I've seen a lot of women who have not changed their network and who are fighting alone. And this is a very tough battle. You do want to make sure, if you're in this transition moment, that the people surrounding you, the people you're interacting the most, are your power tribe. The ones that really say, yes, go for it, this type of people. So do make sure you critically think who you are talking to the most and how you can make sure there are more of the uplifters in your closest network. Number 4, and there are 5 steps. Number 4, the role model. Normally, when we hear this notion, it's about looking outside. Who are your role models? You quickly start to scan who are the celebrities, the famous people that are now. I want to encourage you to turn back to yourself again. And I want to invite you, and now we're scanning through, but you'll have this as a worksheet and you'll have more time. I want to invite you to define and describe yourself as the future role model for you. And hold on to that picture, not someone else, not the one who's gotten the job that you want, not someone who is, kind of the CEO of the company you want to be the CEO of. You yourself being that role model, you yourself fully manifesting your key defining traits, your superpowers, your super experience, putting it all together. How are you going to be? And how clearly can you define this role model you? And how can you start already being part of it? How could you start being your role model already now, little by little, becoming closer to the future picture of yourself, being the role model you want to be? I can say that this very exercise has really been probably the first enabler for me to come up to a C-suite sponsor of the program that I really wanted to kind of do and address difficult topics and women's leadership agenda and a lot of ego-driven behaviors. And I was like, okay, I'm really, kind of, there are a lot of imperfections out there, but the role model me would just go out there and do it and just hear back what needs to be improved. And that gave me the energy to approach the guy. So please make sure you try to bring this notion of role model back into yourself and spend some time with the descriptors that I'm going to send over past this workshop, but define that and step into it when you can. And as we are approaching the last 5 steps that I really encourage you to define is your impact. Looking back at the previous pieces, your identity, what worked, the green pen, the things that are working, that you really make them work. Your power network, the one that trusts in you and really thinks it's possible for you. And the role model you, that picture of you. Once all of those things are together, what is the impact that you will drive by stepping into this full authentic power and saying, okay, this is me, and this is the impact that I'm able to deliver? I can tell you that by going through this complete aligned picture, you can leave your personal story back, kind of as your inner battery, and, you don't have to share your whole life with anyone. But it's been this way for me, and I've seen this work for quite some women I worked with. Some of them decide to share their impactful life stories to some of their key business stakeholders. And it sometimes is, kind of a surprise, but these people are also human. And they also relate back to your stories. And I told my own story to quite some of my business stakeholders. And that way, when they see why you are doing it, what's your true motivation, they really start to trust in you much more and see the person behind the numbers, the person behind the business project and the business case. So think if it is a wise idea or not for you, or if you're just going to source the energy for whatever you want to transition into. But make sure that you put a straight line between who you are, where your power sits, and the impact that you're going to drive. And we were just talking to Irina before this workshop, so I think I hope it's okay to share this also. I think it's a very powerful exercise. Once you define what is the impact that you're able to drive, and you think of that role model you being in that state of getting the role that you want in the company you want, what kind of project, what kind of value would you deliver if you had, kind of a blank page for your job description? What would you say to the CEO of this company? This is what I'm going to do. This is what I am going to bring. And instead of reading the next job description and all the list of, kind of the things that you have to comply to get that role, instead of trying to fit in for the role, think of what is the impact that the powerful version of you is going to offer to the CEO. And he or she will not be able to resist, because he or she will see the power, the true power and the motivation that you're bringing along. I've seen this very concept open doors for me, open doors and getting the roles that women I've worked with wanted to get. And sometimes they share their personal story. One lady told me she shared with her VP of chemical production how she fell in love with chemistry. And the guy was, fuck, you got to get this wrong. So this is my story for you. We're going to share the outline of these exercises, because I realize you may need more time to reflect on this. But I told you it's going to be an activating workshop. I hope it is really kind of starting something in you, but you get the idea that you have to start from yourself to be the aligned version of you. And I want to ask you to share, maybe a couple of people want to share, what is your "this is me" takeaway from today? What is it that you've realized about yourself, and what are you going to hold on to from here? Be that your career or beyond, but this is you. Are there a couple of people that want to share, maybe in the chat or just out loud?
I'm happy to share, Lydia, because I'm super inspired by the whole thing, actually. And you know, at the moment, I'm actually working on what I call a personal narrative. And you know, now that I've been through this last, you know, I've listened to you for the last hour and been thinking about these 5 steps, etc. I realized that I've got a very, it's very business. It's very, so it's basically a summary of my CV in a way, but it's not really personal enough, because, you know, is it really me, or is it, well, yeah, it's things I've done, but it's the what worked step of your 5 step, but it actually doesn't really tick any of the other other steps of the model. So I'm going to completely rework this now based on the 5-step model you've just shared. So just, you know, thank you, really, and really thought-provoking for me as I'm working through this right now. So
thanks a lot for sharing. Thank you so much. And I've seen also how CVs become alive, you know, through this. And then you also feel a lot of power to bring these CVs to the people that will read it and listen to what you have to say. So I'm really happy with this.
Lydia, I just wanted to also echo what Sophie said. I feel a tremendous amount of energy after this session. I was telling my team, my breakout team, that this is sort of a day one for me of really pursuing my transition. My company went into Chapter 11 4 weeks ago, so I gave myself a little bit of a break. But I'm feeling so energized, and I think that piece of really what's personal as opposed to what just words that could be on anyone's LinkedIn profile, anybody's, you know, anybody's CV, what makes you you, is really exciting. And I feel now like I know how to dive in and do the work that I need to do. So thank you. This has been really incredible.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Thanks. So it is my energy and my power sitting in there, because I really truly believe that we absolutely need to have more women and more women stepping into this true power. When we were preparing this workshop with Irina, she had a brilliant idea, and that's how, you know, kind of the minds collaborate. She had a great idea, which I find fascinating, and it speaks a lot to my mission of empowering 1 million women. And you're helping me because I'm at the start of this mission. So I have a couple of pieces to you. So first of all, I really encourage you to think this through. And how are we going to pass the, let's see. For anyone who is going to share that this is me, so any insight from today, and tag me on LinkedIn, I will make sure to deliver to you the 5 P's descriptors. So all of it, plus I guess the recording if you want to have it. So that is something that you will have. This is me, tag me, Lydia Timkovskaya. I'm going to put my headlines over there as well. And I'm going to pass it to you. Yeah. I want you to start manifesting anything that really, you know, is your realization, because this is a process that's, you know, kind of, you start stepping into this. Start stepping back into yourself instead of fitting in. And we've been taught to fit in majority of our life, minus 6 years. So this is a process, but find that key insight that you already start owning and put it out there, because when it's stamped, when it's out there, you know, you don't have a way back anymore. You cannot unsee this or unhear this. I told you, it's too late. But manifest it. So put it on LinkedIn. Here it is. So that was the idea. Put the "this is me" hashtag, any insight tag me. I'm going to send you this 5 steps guide. And one more thing, that whenever you need, maybe before an interview or, kind of whatever, powerful moment that you need to come back to your power, like you maybe feel now inspired and uplifted, there is a tool for that, My Power tool. I'm going to send to you also that as an addition. And as I told you, I am now kind of on a mission to empower more women, and I'm practicing this open program. So I'm teaching this in some corporate rooms, but I really want to scale this. I feel I want to take it out there and have every woman hear this. So I'm running this open programs, and this time it's going to be a first international cohort, open cohort. So I've been running it for some of the Russian-speaking women, and I told you I was really impressed myself by how this works and how they step. Most of them are in the career transitions as well, the number 3 career transition. So going somewhere to a new company, new country. And I'm going to share in the chat. So if you will be interested to join me in a program like this for the next 10 weeks, starting on May 18th, I'm going to run this Authentic Women's Leadership Program, which is designed exactly around this framework. So it's going to be a very small group. I'm really running it in very small cohorts, so I can really dedicate a lot of attention to every participant. But it is really about taking back your power and putting it in all of the business type of things that you need to put in, back into your CV, your network, finding those key strengths, key projects that you want to put forward, but also articulating what is the environment that you want to put it into, and start activating it with all the power and passion that you can have. I really feel that this is the way to take it forward. Instead of like bluntly applying cold way to anything, this concept will really work very differently. And I see how it works differently for all the women that have passed this program. And I will be happy if some of you will be interested in joining this. We're going to go through the self concept, kind of defining you much deeper. We're going to look into the authentic power platforms and deep dive into all sort of business projects and articulating and putting life into them. So what do you put forward? And aligning it much deeper to the business impact that you're able to bring to any organization. The next thing that we're going to do is look at how your impact storyline will be approaching business issues strategically. So it's not, so everything comes together, and it's not only your personal story, but also the story of how you can bring the value to the business that you are passionate about, and how this is going to contribute strategically to really the growth of the business with all the power that you can deliver there. And we're going to work a lot on activating the power network, so getting the message right to the stakeholders that really will be the ones that lift you up in this transition journey. As I said, these programs are very small, so I talk to every potential participant. If you're interested, then you have the link, you have a QR code here. I will be waiting for applications until May the 12th, so that we can also have kind of an alignment call and check in with anyone who is interested in joining this small group. And I will offer also 2 personal coaching sessions to anyone joining this to ensure the best result. To my experience, and I put all my energy and heart into this program, it really is something that puts you together and prepares you very concretely for a transformation in your career, and applying and getting the roles that you will really love. So for me, it's really in my mission to get women through this. And I would love if some of you will be interested to join, then we're going to talk about it. But either way, if you tag me on LinkedIn, I will be so happy if you share this, and then I will deliver to you, as promised, the 5-step toolkit, plus an extra very powerful practice that I think is going to bring back that energy at any moment that you will want to activate it again. So with that, a very big thank you to all of you. I sincerely, truly enjoyed being in the breakout room, seeing how the energy flows there. And I'll love to stay in touch with all of you from here onwards.